Welcome to Snoozecast, the podcast designed to help you fall asleep. On Snoozecast, we read excerpts from public domain works and occasionally original stories. New episodes come out every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We'd like to thank our listeners. If you enjoy our show, please follow us on social media, write us a review, and also share it with a friend. The best place to listen to us is on our website, snoozecast.com. That way, you can play a single episode and fall asleep without another one automatically playing. This episode is supported by what you see behind closed eyes. Tonight, I'll be reading another excerpt from L. Frank Baum's The Sea Fairies, picking up more or less where we left off. Baum is best known for The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. The Sea Fairies is a magical, underwater fantasy following Mary Griffiths, nicknamed Trot, as she fulfills her wish of seeing a mermaid for the first time. Her adventure is filled with a journey through an underwater kingdom where she meets kings, queens, and villains along the way. When we left off, Trot and her old sailor friend, Captain Bill, are paddling on a rowboat along the shore and looking at sea games. Let's get cozy. Close your eyes. Relax your body into the softness of your bed. Now, take a few deep breaths. She knew all the caves well, and so did Captain Bill. Many of them opened just at the water's edge, and it was possible to row their boat far into the dusky depths. "And here's Echo Cave," she continued, dreamily, as they slowly moved along the coast. "And Giant's Cave. And oh, Captain Bill, do you suppose there were ever any giants in that cave?" "'Pears like there must have been, Trot, or they wouldn't o' named it that name," he replied, pausing to wipe his bald head with the red handkerchief while the oars dragged in the water. "We've never been into that cave, Captain," she remarked, looking at the small hole in the cliff, an archway through which the water flowed. "Let's go in now." "What for, Trot?" "To see if there's a giant there." Aren't you afraid?" "No. Are you?" "I just don't believe it's big enough for a giant to get into." "Your father was in there once," remarked Captain Bill, "and he says it's the biggest cave on the coast. But low down. It's full of water, and the water's deep down to the very bottom of the ocean. But the rock roof's liable to bump your head at high tide." "It's low tide now," returned Trot. "And how could any giant live in there if the roof is so low down?" "Why, he couldn't, mate. I reckon they must have called it Giant's Cave 'cause it's so big, and not 'cause any giant man lived there." "Let's go in," said the girl again. "I'd like to explore it." "All right," replied the sailor. "It'll be cooler in there than out here in the sun. We won't go very far. for when the tide turns, we mightn't get out again. He picked up the oars and rowed slowly toward the cave. The black archway that marked its entrance seemed hardly big enough to admit the boat at first. But as they drew nearer, the opening became bigger. The sea was very calm here, for the headland shielded it from the breeze. "Look out for your head, Trot," cautioned Captain Bill, as the boat glided slowly into the rocky arch. But it was the sailor who had to duck, instead of the little girl. Only for a moment, though. Just beyond the opening, the cave was higher, and as the boat floated into the dim interior, they found themselves on quite an extensive branch of the sea. For a time, neither of them spoke, and only the soft lapping of the water against the sides of the boat was heard. A beautiful sight met the eyes of the two adventurers and held them dumb with wonder and delight. It was not dark in this vast cave, yet the light seemed to come from underneath the water, which all around them glowed with an exquisite sapphire color. Where the little waves crept up the side of the rocks, they shone like brilliant jewels, and every drop of spray seemed a gem fit to deck a queen. Trot leaned her chin on her hands and her elbows on her lap and gazed at this charming sight with real enjoyment. Captain Bill drew in the oars and let the boat drift where it would, while he also sat silently admiring the scene. Slowly, the little craft crept farther and farther into the dim interior of the vast cavern, while its two passengers feasted their eyes on the beauties constantly revealed. Both the old seaman and the little girl loved the ocean in all its various moods. To them, it was a constant companion and a genial comrade. If it stormed and raved, they laughed with glee. If it rolled great breakers against the shore, they clapped their hands joyfully. If it lay slumbering at their feet, they petted and caressed it, but they always loved it. Here was the ocean yet. It had crept under the dome of overhanging rock to reveal itself crowned with sapphires and dressed in a gown, revealing in this guise new and unexpected charms. "Good morning, Mary," said a sweet voice. Trot gave a start and looked around her in wonder. Just beside her, in the water, were little eddies, circles within circles, such as are caused when anything sinks below the surface. Did you hear that, Captain Bill?" she whispered solemnly. Captain Bill did not answer. He was staring with eyes that fairly bulged out at a place behind Trot's back, and he shook a little, as if trembling from cold. Trot turned half around, and then she stared too. Rising from the blue water was a fair face around which floated a mass of long, blonde hair. It was a sweet, girlish face, with eyes of the same deep blue as the water, and red lips whose dainty smile disposed 2 rows of pearly teeth. The cheeks were plump and rosy, the brows gracefully penciled, while the chin was rounded and had a pretty dimple in it. "The most beautifulest in the world," murmured Captain Bill in a voice of horror, "and no one has ever lived to tell the tale." There was a peal of merry laughter at this, laughter that rippled and echoed throughout the cavern. Just at Trot's side appeared a new face, even fairer than the other, with a wealth of brown hair wreathing the lovely features, and the eyes smiled kindly into those of the child. "Are you a mermaid?" asked Trot curiously. She was not a bit afraid. They seemed both gentle and friendly. "Yes, dear," was the soft answer. "We are all mermaids," chimed a laughing chorus, and here and there, all about the boat, appeared pretty faces lying just upon the surface of the water. "Are you part fishes?" asked Trot, greatly pleased by this wonderful sight. "No, we are all mermaid," replied the one with the brown hair. "The fishes are partly like us because they live in the sea and must move about. And you are partly like us, Mary dear, but have awkward, stiff legs, so you may walk on the land. But the mermaids lived before fishes and before mankind, so both have borrowed something from us." "Then you must be fairies, if you've lived always," remarked Trot, nodding wisely. "We are, dear. We are the water fairies," answered the one with the blonde hair, coming nearer and rising till her slender white throat showed plainly. We're goners, Trot," sighed Captain Bill, with a white, woebegone face. "I guess not, Captain," she answered calmly. "These pretty mermaids aren't going to hurt us, I'm sure." "No, indeed," said the first one who had spoken. "If we were wicked enough to wish harm you, our magic could reach you as easily upon the land as in this cave. But we love little girls dearly and wish only to please them and make their lives more happy." "I believe that," cried Trot earnestly. Cap'n Bill groaned. "Guess why we have appeared to you," said another mermaid, coming to the side of the boat. "Why?" asked the child. "We heard you say yesterday you would like to see a mermaid, and so we decided to grant your wish." "That was real nice of you," said Trot gratefully. "Also, we heard all the foolish things Captain Bill said about us," remarked the brown-haired one smilingly. "And we wanted to prove to him that they were wrong." "I only said what I've heard," protested Captain Bill. "Never having seen a mermaid afore, I couldn't be accurate, and I never expected to see one and live to tell the tale." Again, the cave rang with merry laughter, and as it died away, Trot said, "May I see your scales, please? And are they green and purple and pink like Captain Bill said? They seemed undecided what to say to this, and swam a little way off, where the beautiful heads formed a group that was delightful to see. Perhaps they talked together, for the brown-haired mermaid soon came back to the side of the boat and asked, "Would you like to visit our kingdom and see all the wonders that exist below the sea?" "I'd like to," replied Trot promptly. "But I couldn't. I'd get drowned." "That you would, mate," cried Captain Bill. "Oh no," said the mermaid. "We would make you both like one of ourselves, and then you could live within the water as easily as we do." "I don't know as I'd like that," said the child. "At least for always." "You need not stay with us a moment longer than you please," returned the mermaid, smiling as if amused at the remark. "Whenever you are ready to return home, we promise to bring you to this place again and restore to you the same forms you are now wearing." "Would I have a fish's tail?" asked Trot earnestly. "You would have a mermaid's tail," was the reply. "What color would my scales be? Pink or purple?" "You may choose the color yourself." "Look here, Trot," said Cap'n Bill in excitement. "You ain't thinking o' doing such a fool thing, are you?" "Course I am," declared the little girl. "We don't get such invitations every day, Cap'n. And if I don't go now, I may never find out how the mermaids live." "I don't care how they live myself," said Cap'n Bill. "I just want 'em to let me live." "There's no danger," insisted Trot. "I don't know about that. That's what all the other folks said when they dove after the mermaids and got drowned." "Who?" asked the girl. "I don't know who, but you've heard that no one ever saw a mermaid and lived," said Trot. "To tell the tale," he added, nodding. "And if we dive down like they say, we won't live ourselves." All the mermaids laughed at this, and the brown-haired one said, "Well, if you are afraid, don't come. You may row your boat out of this cave and never see us again, if you like. We merely thought it would please little Mary, and we're willing to show her the sights of our beautiful home." "I'd like to see 'em, all right," said Trot, her eyes glistening with pleasure. "So would I," admitted Cap'n Bill, "if we would live to tell the tale." "Don't you believe us?" asked the mermaid, fixing her lovely eyes on those of the old sailor and smiling prettily. "Are you afraid to trust us to bring you safely back?" No," said Cap'n Bill. "'Tain't that. I've got to look after Trot." "Then you'll have to come with me," said Trot decidedly, "for I'm going to accept this invitation. If you don't care to come, Captain Bill, you go home and tell Mother I'm visiting the mermaids. She'd scold me into shivers, moaned Captain Bill with a shudder. I guess I'd rather take my chance down below. All right, I'm ready, Miss Mermaid, said Trot. What shall I do? Jump in, clothes and all? Give me your hand, dear, answered the mermaid, lifting a lovely white arm from the water. Trot took the slender hand and found it warm and soft and not a bit fishy. My name is Clea, continued the mermaid, and I am a princess in our deep sea kingdom. Just then, Trot gave a flop and flopped right out of the boat into the water. Captain Bill caught a gleam of pink scales as his little friend went overboard. And the next moment, there was Trot's face in the water among those of the mermaids. She was laughing with glee as she looked up into Captain Bill's face and called, "Come on in, Captain. It didn't hurt a bit." Captain Bill stood up in the boat as if undecided what to do. Never a sailor man was more bewildered than this old fellow by the strangeness of the adventure he had encountered. At first, he could hardly believe it was all true and that he was not dreaming. But there was Trot in the water, laughing with the mermaids and floating comfortably about. And he couldn't leave his dear little companion to make the trip to the depths of the ocean alone. "Take my hand, please, Captain Bill," said Princess Clea, reaching her dainty arm toward him, and suddenly the old man took courage and clasped the soft fingers in his own. He had to lean over the boat to do this, and then there came a lightness to his legs, and he had a great longing to be in the water. So he gave a flop and flopped in beside Trot, where he found himself comfortable enough, but somewhat frightened. "Law sakes," he gasped. "Here's me in the water with my rheumatics. I'll be that stiff tomorrow, I can't wiggle." "You're wiggling all right now," observed Trot. "That's a fine tail you've got, Captain, and its green scales is just beautiful." "Are they green, eh?" he asked, twisting around to try to see them. "Green as emeralds, Captain. How do they feel?" "Feel, Trot?" feel? Why, this tail beats that old wooden leg all holler. I can do stunts now that I couldn't a done in 1,000 years with old Peg. And don't be afraid of the rheumatism, advised the princess. No